Brothers. Written and read by Dale Robbins. Copyright 2021. In the rural hills of the Ozarks, dense forests exceed wonder. Rivers meander through trees, and life thrives in its wake. On the banks of one such river stood a small saloon in an all but forgotten county seat. Long gone were the town's glory days of fruitful mining. Local business owners and government workers were the only persons seen trickling through its streets. The town would never fully recover from the decimation of its sons at the hand of the Second World War. The Veterans Memorial in the center of Town Square was both a tribute and a bitter reminder of the cost of war. He came on a day like any other, except today a visiting carnival was in town. Amidst visitors bustling to and fro, a stout man in rugged overalls, coat, and no shoes on his feet went unnoticed as he limped down Main Street. It was apparent his ankle was sprained at least. His thick beard was a mask, partially veiling an awkward stare he gave to passers-by. Small-town vigilance gave way to the bustle of the fair. Anyone noticing the stranger assumed he was a traveling carny. Drawn like a sailor to the siren song, the stranger limped towards the saloon, beckoned by the sound of the piano inside. Upon entry he placed $1 on the counter. "Beer, please," were the only words he spoke to the barkeep. As the draft gurgled and foamed into the glass, the stranger surveyed the bar, but mainly eyed the piano at its center. Mug in hand, he hobbled towards the weathered piano, as some of the heady foam dripped onto his dirty bare feet. The visible oxidation on the piano's metal was all too symbolic of the melancholic air in the saloon. He placed his mug on the piano, as he produced a single overripe apple from the pocket of his tattered trench coat. Before taking a bite, he inhaled the palpable musty air which lingered in the bar like an invisible haze. He slurped its juices in an almost lascivious manner, while noisily biting into the fruit. Before swallowing his bite, he engaged the piano player with his request. The food in his mouth served to hide his foreign accent. "Will you play Beethoven?" he questioned. With a twirl on his bench, the pianist looked up at the stranger as though he had seen a two-headed man. "Mister," replied the piano player, "that's a strange request at a saloon," he continued. "I apologize for alarming you," said the stranger. "You see, I am here to ask you to play Beethoven because of your brother," he explained. At this statement, the bar fell silent. Men put down their mugs and stood at their tables. "This some kind of joke?" the pianist asked. "My brother is a hero. Died in the war, and I would have died with him were it not for missing the draft on account of the polio," the pianist hissed. "You don't know my brother, and I'll thank you kindly to not speak of him. You best be moving along if you know what's good for you," he ordered. "I am afraid you are wrong about that," the stranger began. "You see, I met your brother during the war, and his dying words were a plea for me to hear you play Beethoven," he explained in now a recognizable German accent. The clicking of revolver cylinders punctuated the stranger's claim. All eyes were upon him, and many hands rested on pistol grips tucked along waistlines. Like Jesus calming the sea, the pianist raised his left arm to stave off a massacre. "Now you listen here, you kraut bastard. I'll not have you coming here to mock the memory of my brother. But you see," the stranger interrupted, "I am here to honor your brother," he replied. "I served in the German infantry, and came face to face with him in a small town south of Paris. The two opposing sides fought street to street and house to house. The home we encountered each other in was a shrine to the death of dreams. The house was hollow and void of what would have been an haven for joy. I tripped over a child's toy as I exited the kitchen into another room. I often wonder, where did that young child go off to? What prize is ever worth robbing children of innocence? Will that child someday also be thrown into the chaos of war because of the lust of a madman, as I did, as your brother did?" As we stood in the living room of the abandoned home, we could see the fear in each other's eyes. We were just two boys, really, forced to fight for our countries, forced to fight other young men who were forced to fight us. As we fought hand to hand, as soldiers do, it became clear only one of us would live, and unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your view, I was able to retrieve my pistol. I shot him in the stomach as we looked into each other's eyes. I will never forget the feeling of damnation I felt when I looked into the eyes of a mother's child, terrified at the reality his life would end, the German explained. The utter shock that came over the bar was the only thing keeping the stranger alive. I don't believe you," the pianist stammered. "Do you know this tune?" the German asked, and then he began to sing. "Freude schöne Goethe Funken." Now stunned, the pianist recognized the melody commonly known as Ode to Joy from his brother's favorite symphony, Beethoven's Ninth. The pianist played as the German continued to sing. The two performed as one. When the music stopped, the piano player looked up with tears trickling down his cheeks, a slow leak of mercy from years of grieving held back like a dam. "What do the words mean?" he pleaded. "In short, it means," began the German, his voice cracking. "All men shall become brothers," revealed the German. He sang it to me as I held him. He died in my arms.